Today we're going over civilizations that were thriving one moment and completely gone the next. Not slow declines, not centuries of gradual collapse. I'm talking about entire societies, cities, and empires that vanished so fast, so completely, that the people who came after them had no idea they ever existed. No records, no warnings, no survivors telling the story. Just empty cities, unfinished meals, and archaeologists centuries later going, "Wait, what happened here?" Some of these disappearances are so sudden that historians still argue about them today. Let's get into it. Number 1. The Indus Valley Civilization. It's around 1900 BC in what is now Pakistan and northwest India. And one of the largest, most advanced civilizations on the planet is running like a machine. We're talking over 5 million people. Cities with grid-patterned streets before Rome even existed. Indoor plumbing and covered sewage systems more advanced than what most of the world would have for another 3,000 years. Standardized weights and measures used across an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. This wasn't some scattered collection of villages. This was a sophisticated, organized civilization stretching across over 1,500 known sites. And then, within a span of just a few generations, it collapsed. The great cities were abandoned. Trade networks went silent. The writing system, which nobody has ever been able to decode, just stopped being used. People scattered into smaller rural settlements, and the urban culture that built some of the most advanced cities of the ancient world simply ceased to exist. For centuries, historians didn't even know this civilization had existed. It wasn't rediscovered until the 1920s. Buried under literal tons of dirt. So what happened? The leading theory involves a catastrophic shift in the region's river systems, possibly the drying up of the Sarasvati River, which would have devastated agriculture and forced mass migration. Some researchers point to climate change, a weakening monsoon pattern that turned fertile land into desert. Others suggest disease swept through the densely packed cities. The frustrating part is we can't ask them. Their writing system remains one of the great undeciphered scripts in human history, meaning the one civilization that could tell us exactly what happened to them left us a message we still can't read. Number 2. The Maya cities of the Yucatan. Somewhere around 800 AD in the heart of Central America, the Maya civilization is at its peak. Massive stone pyramids rise out of the jungle. Sophisticated cities house tens of thousands of people. Their astronomers have mapped the movement of Venus with an accuracy that wouldn't be matched in Europe for another 800 years. Their mathematicians independently invented the concept of zero. This was one of the most intellectually advanced societies on Earth. And then, over the course of about 100 years, the great southern cities were abandoned one by one. Construction stopped mid-project. Monuments were left half-carved. Entire population centers that once held tens of thousands of people were reduced to a fraction of their size and eventually swallowed by jungles so completely that Spanish conquistadors walked right past pyramids without realizing an empire had ever stood there. Some cities lost up to 90% of their population. This wasn't one catastrophic event. It was faster and stranger than a slow decline, but not instant either, which almost makes it creepier. Cities that had thrived for centuries just kept emptying out, one after another, like dominoes. Researchers now believe a combination of severe, prolonged drought, deforestation from overpopulation, and political collapse triggered a chain reaction that the Maya simply couldn't recover from. tree ring and lake sediment data show multiple megadroughts hitting the region in devastatingly close succession. Number 3. The Minoans of Crete. Around 1600 BC on the island of Crete in the Mediterranean, the Minoan civilization is Europe's first great advanced society. Elaborate multi-story palaces with over 1,000 rooms. Indoor plumbing again, centuries before the Romans. Vivid, colorful frescoes depicting bull-leaping ceremonies and dolphins and vibrant sea life. A massive trading network connecting Egypt, the Near East, and mainland Greece. Then, seemingly overnight, in archaeological terms, their palaces were destroyed. Their society collapsed, and within a few generations, they were absorbed and erased by the Mycenaean Greeks. For decades, the leading theory was that the eruption of the Thera volcano, one of the largest volcanic events in recorded human history, sent a tsunami crashing into Crete's northern coast and buried nearby settlements in ash, crippling the Minoan economy in a single afternoon. It's a dramatic, satisfying explanation. There's just one problem. Newer evidence shows that the Minoan civilization actually continued for decades after the eruption before its final collapse, meaning the volcano alone doesn't explain it. So now researchers are looking at a combination of factors: earthquake damage, the eruption's long-term agricultural fallout, and possibly the Mycenaeans taking advantage of a weakened Crete to invade and finish the job. A great civilization brought down by the ancient world's worst possible combination of bad luck. Number 4. The Anasazi of Chaco Canyon. Around 1200 AD in what is now the American Southwest, the ancestral Puebloans, sometimes called the Anasazi, have built something extraordinary in the middle of the desert. Chaco Canyon contains massive multi-story stone structures, one of which had over 600 rooms, making it the largest building in North America until the 1800s. Precisely aligned to track solar and lunar cycles. Connected by a network of perfectly straight roads that stretch for miles across brutal terrain, seemingly built more for ceremonial or symbolic reasons than practical travel, since some of them lead to nowhere in particular. And then, within a generation, they walked away from all of it, not slowly, not gradually. Archaeological evidence suggests entire communities packed up and left in a relatively short window. Buildings were found with pottery and tools still in place, like people expected to come back. They never did. Tree ring data reveals a brutal, multi-decade drought hit the region right around the time of the abandonment. And that's the most widely accepted explanation. But drought alone doesn't fully explain the totality of it. Some researchers point to social and religious upheaval, a possible loss of faith in the leadership that had organized this entire ambitious society. Others suggest resource depletion, since building on that scale in a desert requires an enormous amount of timber, which the surrounding area eventually couldn't sustain. An entire civilization looked at what they built, one of the most impressive architectural achievements in ancient North America, and simply walked into the desert and never came back. Number 5. The Olmec of Mesoamerica. Around 1200 BC along the Gulf Coast of Mexico, the Olmec civilization is quietly inventing the template that every major Mesoamerican culture will follow for the next 2,000 years. The ballgame that would later obsess the Maya and the Aztec. The calendar system, the concept of zero. Massive stone heads, some over 9 feet tall and weighing up to 50 tons, carved with individualized facial features, meaning each one appears to depict a specific real person. And they transported these multi-ton boulders up to 50 miles from the nearest quarry, with no wheels, No draft animals and no metal tools. Then, around 400 BC, their major centers were deliberately and violently destroyed. This wasn't abandonment. Their most sacred monuments show signs of intentional defacement. Deep gouges carved into the stone faces. And then, strangely, the damaged monuments were carefully buried rather than just left in ruins. That detail alone has kept archaeologists arguing for decades. Why bury something you've already destroyed? Some researchers believe it points to internal political upheaval, a violent changing of the guard where a new ruling faction ritually killed the monuments of the old order and buried them out of a mix of respect and erasure. Others suggest environmental factors, shifting river systems that the Olmec economy depended on, played a role in destabilizing the civilization first. Either way, the mother culture of Mesoamerica, the civilization that gave rise to concepts the Maya and Aztec would build empires on, was erased with a thoroughness that feels almost intentional. Now for the supporting cast. Faster hits, equally strange. The Cahokia society near modern-day St. Louis. At its peak around 1100 AD, it was larger than London at the time, with a central pyramid, Monk's Mound, bigger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza. By 1350, it was completely abandoned, and nobody has definitively explained why. The Rapa Nui civilization on Easter Island. The people who carved nearly 900 massive stone moai statues saw their population crash by an estimated 80% in a shockingly short window. With deforestation, disease, and societal collapse, all tangled together into one of history's most debated cautionary tales. The city of Cahuachi in Peru, ceremonial center of the Nazca culture. Abandoned so abruptly that archaeologists found unused ceramics still stacked and ready, like the city was mid-preparation for something that never happened. And Angkor, capital of the Khmer Empire in Cambodia, once the largest pre-industrial city on Earth, supporting up to 1 million people. A combination of catastrophic monsoon flooding followed by decades of extreme drought overwhelmed the city's massive water management system, and the empire's heart was left to the jungle. So there you have it. Civilizations that built things far ahead of their time and then vanished before anyone could write down why. The Indus Valley left us an unreadable script. The Maya cities emptied out one by one like a slow-motion domino chain. The Minoans got hit with the worst possible combination of natural disaster and bad timing. The Anasazi walked away from a 600-room building and never looked back. And the Olmec buried their own monuments like they were trying to erase themselves from history on purpose. Makes you wonder what's still buried out there. How many other advanced societies rose, thrived, and disappeared so completely that we haven't even found their ruins yet? History likes to pretend it's a straight line, one civilization steadily building on the last. But the truth is messier than that. Sometimes the line just stops, and we're still trying to figure out why.